Hey everybody, we are back talking Canvas, and today we are talking Canvas Level 1, and we're looking at Part 2. Part 2 goes a little bit beyond the basics of like terminology and moves into announcements, assignments, quizzes, discussions, and pages. So we're going to go through this today, and just like the last time, we are going to work in the presentation a little bit, and then we're also going to move into Canvas and take a look at it closer through Canvas. So you may want two screens up, one screen with Canvas to follow along there, and another screen that has this so that you can go back and forth. Or you can just watch and fast forward and watch me at 2 times speed. It's totally up to you. So whenever you're ready, let's go ahead and get started with Canvas Level 1, Part 2. So these are the topics that we are going to be talking about today: announcements, assignments, quizzes, discussions, and pages. We're also going to be taking a look at how all of those things fit together in modules. We talked about modules in the last video, so if you aren't really sure or you don't really understand what I'm talking about with modules, I would suggest going back to the first video. I think I talked about it all the way at the end, so you can fast forward through all of that and just check out modules, their purpose, how to build them, what they are. Today we're going to be putting all of these things into modules and really building through that to create your content. So the first thing we're going to talk about are announcements. So announcements are a fantastic way to communicate with your students. They're great for things like reminders of homework, reminders of anything, or just if you need to send a quick little note to your students. They're great if you're out with a sub and you can put some information in there. So at first, when you are looking at your yearly class, if you'll take a look right here, you'll see announcements, and no matter if you turn it on or not, it will show invisible until you send your first announcement. No matter what you do, they will show invisible. So we're going to take a look at announcements. They can be written, typed up, they can be video announcements, and they can also be scheduled. So we are going to hop on over to Canvas, and we're going to take a look at announcements. Okay, so here we are in Canvas, and we're going to go to our announcements tab. This is one of the few times you don't have to do something through the NTN gradebook. So for announcements, you're just going to click announcements. You can see I currently have 2 announcements here. I've actually done 2 different types of announcements. One is a written announcement and the other one is a video announcement. So for instance, this one here is called Today's Lesson, and it's just a homework reminder for my students. I have embedded a text for them to read. I've also posted it here for them to download. This is in here for them. If I need this announcement only to go to a certain section, or just like I do in assignments, I can post it here to just my certain sections. I can also attach the text, like I embedded it here for students, but I can attach it down here as an attachment. Another option I have is delay posting. If I would like for my users to comment, I can do this, or allow liking. I have some options in there. So that's what it looks like here. We're going to go over how to make it in just a second. I'm going to go to the video message, and all I did was use the screen recorder function that's built into Canvas, and I recorded myself speaking, and giving the announcement instead of writing it out for my students. You can do this in conjunction with writing it if you would like to. That way you have that personalized message plus written directions, or if you need to embed something like the text from before, you can also do that. So let's take a look at how to create the announcement. We're going to go here to announcements. Just like with everything in Canvas, you're going to find the plus symbol in the blue box. So it's plus announcement. We're going to click on that. We're going to give it a title, practice announcement. I can spell. This is my rich content editor, so I can put anything here. I can put images here, I can put sound here, I can put video here, I can put links here, I can put text here. This is just like anything building within the rich content editor of Canvas. So I'm just going to upload an image. There, that picture, that is fine. Submit it, post it to all sections. If I choose delay posting, I can choose a time that I want this message to appear. So I want this message to appear today, but maybe I don't want it to appear until 2 o'clock. Done, that's in the future. And now it will appear today at 2 o'clock p.m. And I will hit save. It's going to all sections. It says the content will not be visible to users until September 1st at 2 p.m. So then if I go to my announcements, I can see all of my announcements are here. This one you can see is delayed, gives me the time again. These show when they were posted, and that's all there is to making announcements. Okay, let's now go into assignments. So now that we all have that foundational terminology about Canvas, if you remember back in the first Canvas video that we watched, we took a look at all the terminology. Assignments should now make a little bit more sense. And we're going to take a look at making an assignment once again through the NTN gradebook. You want to always start making your assignments through NTN gradebook. Always, always, always. If not, bad things will happen to your grades, and it will be more difficult to get the things back if you make a mistake. So let's take a look at breaking down what goes into an assignment. It may seem kind of overwhelming at first when you pull it up. There's all these things to take a look at, but there's really only 4 things that you need to do. First, you got to give it a title. You got to add a due date to the assignment. You do need to choose a submission type. You can make the choice to assign the same assignment to multiple sections or individuals without creating a new assignment. We're going to look at that. If you're looking at submission types, you can have no submission, which would mean that they don't have to submit anything to you. You can have an online submission, which means that your learners would submit from either their Google Drive or they would use a text box and type something in. They can submit something to you on paper, like a paper assignment. A discussion, you can start a discussion as an assignment and it be a graded discussion, or you can use an external tool. So these are the 4 important steps in making that sample assignment. Number 1, you have to use the NTN gradebook. Number 2, you have to assign your point category or categories, and they all have to be worth 100 points. They can't be worth 20 points here and 10 points here. Each category has to be 100 points. I cannot stress that enough. Number 3, add the due date. And number 4, after all of those things, don't forget to save. If you do 1, 2, and 3, you can still come back and edit it if you forgot to do something. Edit it before the students start working on it. If you have imported assignments, you will find them without due dates, probably because they're imported from somewhere else. You'll find them in MP4. So I switched back over to Canvas, and I'm going to click on Home. I don't know why, but I just always go home first. You will see that I have turned off my assignments. It is disabled. It's disabled for my students because I don't want them accidentally clicking there. It's also disabled for my own benefit, so I know not to mess with it. So it's turned off. I just have this turned off for me. I don't want my students going there by mistake, specifically my students, but a reminder for me. So the NTN Gradebook is where we're going to go. We're going to start by creating an assignment here. Click on the NTN Gradebook. And you can see I have a couple of assignments here. And I am going to click the blue plus sign because always I'm looking for where that blue plus sign is. Here it is with assignment. And I'm going to give my assignment a name. This unit, the students are working on the hero's journey and the Odyssey, so I'm going to call this the Odyssey SAR, a short answer response. And I'm going to say, write a short answer response to the Odyssey prompt. I wish I had one right now. If I needed to do anything using these tools up here, I could. I can insert a link here. I can insert media here by embedding it. I'm going to leave the assignment group the same. I'm going to go over here to point categories, and since this is written, I'm going to go with 100 points for written communication, but I'm also going to use knowledge and thinking because I need for my students to use what they know about the Odyssey, and also I want to grade them on their ability to write a short answer response effectively. So for this, I want just a text entry. I want them to write it for me in the box. So here, I do want a submission. It's not going to be done on paper. It's not a discussion. There's no external tool. It's online. I'm going to have them submit it right here. I'm going to assign it to everyone. And then don't forget, I have to give it a due date. So it's going to be due tomorrow. I'm leaving it at midnight. Now here's where the fun part can come in. It can be really tedious if I were to make an assignment for every single class. But the nice thing about Canvas, and even using the NTN Gradebook, is I have the ability to assign it to specific sections. This class, because it's not a SIS course, it's a course I made, there are no sections in it. But your classes, if you were to click here, you would see all of your sections. And if you don't see all of your sections, you can start typing and you can find the sections. So if I only want to assign it to a specific section, I would click this. And then I would give it the due date. And maybe I want it to be available at a certain time for them until a certain time for them. And maybe I don't want my B-Day class to see it until a different day and a different end time. And I can say add, assign to that section, give them a due date, and open and close. That part is optional, but you can definitely do that. And once I have everything set up the way I want it, I'm going to hit save. So here it is, the Odyssey SAR. It's not published right now. The only thing that's published is this one thing. And if I click on here, it'll bring me back into the general assignments area. If I want to add a little bit more things that I wasn't able to add through the NTN gradebook, this is where I could edit a little bit more. Have a few more options with the rich content editor. So once again, if I wanted to add an image, I don't know, something about, there's great picture of Greece right there. So I can add that in. That goes really well with the Odyssey. It's beautiful. And I'm like, great. I can make any changes that I need to in here. And now I'm ready for it to be saved and published for my students. Okay. And that's how we're going to add assignments through the NTN gradebook with Canvas. The next thing we're going to look at is about quizzes. So with quizzes, there's so many options that you have a lot of options when you're actually building the quiz. You have the same main functionality of creating the layout for it as you do an assignment. You name it, you assign the category and assign points. You can assign the quiz to multiple sections or individuals. You have to make sure it has a due date and then click save. And then you build your quiz by clicking on the title. So over here, you can see the different question types that quizzes have. Lots of different choices for you to see which one works best for your for your quiz. And so now we're going to go back to Canvas and we're going to make a sample quiz. Again, using the NTN gradebook to make the quiz. This time, when you assign the point category, you can only use one category for quizzes. Only one. Add the due date. Don't forget to hit save. You'll go to quizzes and then you'll build from there. And I have one that I've already started, and I'm going to show you some of the things in that quiz when we get into Canvas. All right, here we are back in the NTN gradebook. This is the Hero's Journey quiz. I've already created it. The way I did that is I went to Plus Quiz, and I did those 4 steps. And now I'm back here on this main assignments page. So I have to build the quiz now. I have to build the questions, add the instructions, add all of the things to it. So I'm going to go and click here, the Hero's Journey quiz. When it opens up, you'll see I've added some questions and some instructions, a little image. You don't have to. So these blue buttons here are what you use to add your content. These questions, or the pencil is if you want to edit it, duplicate it, trash it. So when I go to do this, I would just hit plus, and this is what I have to choose from. The first question here is a multiple choice question. The second one is true, false. The third one is ordering. So the students would actually, the students would actually be ordering them and moving these around in their preview mode. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to click plus. I'm going to choose hotspot, and I'm actually going to show you how to do a hotspot question, which is rather interesting. So for this question, I'm going to embed, I'm just going to drag and drop a map of the Odyssey, of Odysseus's journey. And if you see here now, I can draw hotspots. So wherever I draw the square is basically going to be my hotspot for my question. My question where does Odysseus land when he sees the Cyclops, which is going to be right here in Sicily. So stop number 4, that's where it's going to be. I can choose to also, might be better if I want it more narrow, to use a circle, or if I want something like that shape, a lovely polygon shape, I can do like that. I don't like that shape though. So I'm going to go back to the circle, and I'm just going to do that and leave it. And I will hit done for my quiz, and I can preview it as a student to see what it looks like. So how many stages are in the hero's journey? That's not correct. La-di-da. I can move these around, like I said, as a student. And then I'm going to find the spot, and I'm just going to click it like that. As the student, that's what I would do. I would click on my screen, and then I would just hit submit. Submit. It's going to go ahead and grade it so you can kind of see. It will give me how many I got correct, and it will show me all of this information. It shows me where the correct answer is and the one I selected. So that's just kind of what you're going to see in quizzes, and these are very interesting to build, especially as you're able to use some other options here when building the quizzes. All right, discussions. I showed you discussions when we were in assignments that you could have a graded discussion. They can also be ungraded. You can find discussions in the navigation that says discussions, and you can just, it's a forum. So you can assign them through the NTN gradebook, just like anything graded. Or if they're not graded, you're going to assign them just through discussions. You can require your learners to reply before viewing, which may help or may be helpful or not. You can allow learners to like the discussion replies, and you can also allow learners to edit or delete their own posts. Pages. So when we're thinking about creating content, we don't want to just assign assignments, assign quizzes. We also have areas where we need things to live and develop. So that's what pages are for. Pages store content and resources that are part of your course, but they're not necessarily an assignment for the course. It can include text, video, links to files, things like that. You can link to other pages and course content. I've seen a lot of you guys using front pages on your Canvas course, and that is a page. So some of you have already started embedding images and editing pages. So that is what pages are, or those are what pages are. We're going to take a look at the pages over here in our course. As soon as I get out of there, this is our course. We're going to go over to pages. This is our current page. This is our front page, the agenda view. To build pages, you want to go to view all pages, and you again plus page. This one I started. This is over the Odyssey. I have added a presentation to this. So my students, if I wanted my students to have a copy of the presentation that I give notes on for the hero's journey, then it's right here for them, and it's within this page. So it's here for them. They can come back to it. They have a copy of it, and I embedded it into the page. So let's take a look at how you go about doing that. So for this page, we're going to hit edit. And I'm just going to hit enter to kind of have some space. It's once again my rich content editor. I can put pretty much anything in this space. Links, images, media. I could record and upload media. I can embed documents. I have access to my Google Drive here. That's how I got this slideshow in. So what I would do is I would go to my Google Apps, and I can either search depending on how large your drive is, or I can just scroll. So maybe I have a presentation that I want to use. And finding a presentation, I can check multiple things and embed multiple things as well. And I do have to authorize sometimes, and then it's available on that page. Once I'm happy with everything, I would hit save. If I want to add a table, I can add a table. Sometimes if you are trying to use buttons, it's helpful to use a table. If you don't know what I'm talking about, that can be for something completely different at another time. So remember what we talked about at the end of the first one. With Canvas, you go slow, you go at your own pace. You don't have to learn everything at one time. But one of the most helpful things is definitely embedding presentations from Google Slides in here, as well as images and audio and links. So if I have a file to upload, I can upload a file. So I would just find my file and upload it. Just like that. And that's the file. And then I hit save. It will make you authorize if your students get that. This is the Odyssey link. It's going to pull it up, and it's going to make the students kind of like live here with the document. Students do have the option to download it if they don't want to stay within Canvas, if they need to get out, or if they're having problems pulling it up due to Wi-Fi. They do have that ability to click the download button instead and download it to their computer. Okay, so that's building pages. You just put whatever you want on a page. So now we just did this. We embedded images. You can embed videos, add links with Canvas. We've already done all of that. We're going to put the pieces together in modules. Again, if you haven't watched about how to create modules, you need to go back to the first video. It's at the end. You don't have to watch the first thing if you don't think that you need it. But if you don't understand modules or you need to review that, make sure you go back. But all of these things that we just created, announcements, quizzes, assignments, discussions, and pages, we are going to basically put them all together to create a unit for our students through modules. So now that I'm back in my course, remember, I've turned off a lot of things because I don't want my students to have access, but I do want my students to have access to modules because this is the way that they are going to find my course content. All of these other things are hidden. They may be published, but they're not available. So I'm going to go to modules, and I have a module here, and I've titled it The Hero's Journey. To create the module, you find the blue button, plus module, and you create it. Call it whatever you want. If you want it to be locked until a certain point, you can put a certain date on it and lock it. So I can choose files to add if I want to just drop things in for them to look at. Or the better way to do this would be to go to plus and find my assignments. So those are assignments. This is my quiz. This is my page. I want in there my Odyssey page. I want them to start with that. So I'm going to start them with this. I also have in here the Odyssey SAR assignment I want them to do. I'm going to add that. It's going to come underneath that one. And then I also have my quiz right here, and I'm going to add it. You can see that that's not published. You can also see that my module is not published. I have some other options here, like discussion, text header, things like that. We did not make a discussion together, but I want my students to discuss what they read about the Odyssey in a discussion. So I'm going, but I don't want it for a grade. So this is only if you don't want it for a grade. I don't want it for a grade. I just want to see them discuss. From here, I'm going to click discussion. I'm going to click create topic, and I'm going to call it Cyclops and Odysseus. And I'm going to choose add item. So I will need to go here and I will need to add it in just a minute so that there's something there. But it has been created over here in discussions for me through that plus button within the module. These are some other options. If I go to three dots, I can edit anything I need. I can move contents around. I can move my module. Duplicate if I would like to make a duplicate. If I need to send my module to somebody, I can send it to somebody on my team. I can copy it to another course if you need to copy it somewhere. So you have some options within the modules. One of the last things I want to do here is I want to do text headers. I like using text headers within the modules to kind of break up the content and further organize what's happening. So maybe I want my text header to, be about my entry event. So I can add that, and I can go up here, and this is my entry event, and anything that falls beneath it is my entry event. So anyway, this is just breaking up content. I can also indent if I need to further make something more noticed. One thing that we have noticed that some teachers like to do is to use emojis within their assignments, their quizzes, their pages, and such. Please do not get in the habit of doing that. Many times it messes up the other programming. It may mess up the NTN gradebook. Please do not get in the habit of doing that. If you're on a team where that's already being done, it's not a good idea and they should be deleted from the title. If you need help with that, please let us know and we'd be happy to help you take those emojis off if you see any within the title. So that's how you're going to organize the module. Think in your mind what organizational practice is best for your students to help them find the material, to find the content that you want them to see and to find as easily as possible. As the year goes on, things are going to get more and more lengthy, and this is going to get to be a lot. The nice thing about Canvas is that you can just drag and drop. So the most recent module probably needs to be at the top. Modules that students are no longer using need to be turned off. So the hero's journey, I mentioned earlier that this is unpublished, which means if the module is unpublished, no matter what the green check marks show, everything is unpublished. If you want them to see stuff in modules, it has to be published. The best way to do that is to click the box and you'll see everything turned green. But make sure that the module itself is published. Now, if you're still not ready for them to see that hero's journey quiz, you can just unpublish right there and it will not be visible to students, but the other things will be visible. Let's take a look. Let's go back real quick and finalize this discussion so you can take a look and see what that looks like. So we're going to click on this discussion. It looks similar to announcements. You're going to edit and you're just going to type in, just like always with your rich content editor, whatever you want your students to see. I want my students to discuss how does Odysseus portray characteristics of heroism when he meets the Cyclops? How does he not portray characteristics of heroism with the Cyclops? I want them to have a discussion about this. So I am going to post to all my sections. If I wanted to add that file back, because I don't know, I've added it all the way through this, but maybe, just maybe, somebody still hasn't gotten a copy of the Odyssey for that section, I would post it here. I'm going to say allow threaded replies. I want them to post before seeing each other's because I want to know what they're thinking. I don't want them to just repeat what someone else is thinking. And this is not graded. Remember what I said. There's only way you want to make a discussion graded is to go through the NTN grade book first. Do not do this backwards. Otherwise, it's not going to work. I'm fine with them allowing liking, and I'm going to leave that alone. I can add availability dates, and I'm going to click save. And this is my discussion question. And as a viewer, as a teacher, I can go through here and I can see all the things. Okay, so we have built a module. We have added announcements to our page, had assignments, quizzes, discussions, and talked about pages. We've created it within the module. We've created that content. And hopefully between the first part and the second part, you're starting to find some comfort in the Canvas world and how we use all of this stuff in Frisco ISD. If you guys have any questions or need any additional support with Canvas Part 1 or Part 2, really just reach out and we would love to sit down with you and work with you even more on this. Like I said, if you have any questions, just reach out and we hope you guys have a great day.